Welcome everyone to this Microsoft Power Automate webinar. Amanda here from marketing, and presenting today is Vladimir, one of our expert Dynamics 365 finance and operational technical architects. Vlad is going to walk us through the potential of intelligent end-to-end automation for your business. So take it away, Vlad.
Thanks, Amanda. Hi everyone, and thanks for joining on our webinar. My name is Vladimir Senih. I am a technical fellow, part of the Dynamics 365 Finance Operations team in Microchannel, and I'll be showing you today some of the capabilities of Power Automate and how to create intelligent time-saving workflows for your business. So let's get started. So before we talk about the automation, I want to say a few words about us as humans. Our potential is limitless. We are so much creative, but unfortunately, our time is not. So this reflects as well on the businesses. In today's world, businesses are facing a lot of pressure from ever-increasing demands from the customers and as well from the competition, and they struggle with all these finite resources that we have. We know that businesses are powered with a lot of creative people, which they have their own productive and strategic thinking, but unfortunately they spend a lot of their time performing all these time-consuming manual repetitive tasks on daily basis. That's why we as humans, we need to do more. We need to go faster. That's why IT comes into help. In recent days, we have seen a trend where application development is gravitating towards these low-code, high-productivity platforms, which are kind of created to minimize the cost and for the business and rapidly develop things that are needed. And these platforms are having this native capability to integrate with already the existing systems that the businesses are using, such as our CRM system, ERP system, and any other systems. We need to use and take advantage of these platforms in order to achieve more. The recent research shows that, for example, 60% of all jobs had at least 30% of the tasks which can be automated. And furthermore, 50% of those tasks can be even automated using the already existing technologies. And the best candidate which are there for automation as tasks are the ones for example, collecting and processing data. And why we want to do that? We want to do that because we want to empower our people to focus more on what matters most. What matters most for them as employees, what matters most for the business, so we can have happy employees, and with that we can increase our customer satisfaction, because as we all know, happy employees means happy customers as well. That's why we need Power Automate to help us to do that. What is Power Automate? Power Automate is a low-code automation platform from Microsoft, which allows us to automate workloads across our on-prem solutions and as well cloud-based applications and services that we are using. Power Automate is part of a bigger picture. It's part from Microsoft Power Platform that we talked about in our previous webinar. So I'm going to just quickly go and refresh your memories about the Power Platform. So Power Platform is a single low-code platform across all Microsoft products, and as well as we can build a standalone applications as well. So it's when Power Platform was built, it was built with that AAA loop in mind. So what does it mean, AAA? It means analyze, act, and automate. So we use the Power BI to analyze our data. We use Power Apps to quickly and rapidly build apps so we can act, and we use Power Automate to automate our business processes. And the newest addition in this platform is the Power Virtual Agents, which are used for creating interactive chatbots for your business. So this is is a single integrated platform for solving enterprise business needs in a fast and rapid way. All this sits on top of common data services. So common data services is a built-in, fully managed, enterprise-grade data store. And it's not only a data store, it's actually a modeling platform, which is used to rapidly build applications via modeling. So based on your data, you can quickly model and create applications. Common data service as well comes with a built-in advanced security and governance features, and as well features for your environment management, which means you can create your development, test and production environments, and to easily do a whole application lifecycle management. Part of the same platform are the data connectors, which allows us to connect with all sorts of other systems, and as well the AI builder for building artificial intelligent models. So all this natively integrates with already existing 3 Microsoft clouds. Microsoft 365, which is, as you know, used for like using Office, SharePoint, and Teams for our collaboration. Dynamics 365 business applications, for which we can use from creating from order creation to invoice processing to sending our field technicians and much more, and as well the Azure Microsoft Public Cloud with the hundreds of available services which are there to help us maximize our efficiency. Let's see what Power Automate offers. So what's the promise of this platform from Microsoft? It offers automation at scale, which means since this is a cloud-based platform, we don't have to worry about scaling up about our software or hardware resources. It does it automatically for us because we're using it as a service. So it allows us to scale and automate as much as processes as we want. Another thing, it offers a secure integration. I already mentioned it comes with the capabilities of governance and as well something called data loss prevention policies, which gives the comfort to our IT team that this is secure enough to be used for any sorts of automation and integration with external systems. One of the most important things for me personally is it gives us opportunity to accelerate our productivity and to focus more on things that matter and which are valued for the business, instead of doing these boring repetitive tasks which we do on everyday basis. And it gives option for intelligent automation. By using the AI builder as a component, we can infuse our workflows with intelligence. Let's see how all this works. The whole platform comes with hundreds of available triggers and connectors, which allows us these workflows to start. So we have as well already thousands of available templates and actions. We can share these workflows easily, same as we share documents within the organization. We have already a connectivity to 300 plus external services. We can seamlessly integrate with the rest of the Microsoft stack, and we have all this is built natively on that data store that I mentioned, the common data service. And we have the capability of infusing artificial intelligence without the need of having a data scientist help in-house. And if that is not enough, we have the possibility to extend this platform and build our own connectors for third-party systems for which we don't have already available connectors. Although the number of connectors is growing and it almost reached 400 nowadays. So we can connect to all sorts of external systems from Adobe to Zendesk, SAP, Salesforce, anything that your business is using, probably the connector is there, and if it's not, you can build your own easily without code, with low code, right? So today demo, we are going to leverage we're going to leverage the Microsoft Power Platform to show you how we can build intelligent experience through these AI models. And as well, we are going to show you how easy it is to automate and create these business processes which are being used with your existing ERP or CRM systems. And as well, we are going to leverage Microsoft 365 to reinvent the way how we collaborate and we do business nowadays. Some of the existing scenarios that Power Automate is good at is, for example, let's say onboarding of new employee, where we can create automation from signing the when the candidate signs the offer, to notifying the HR that this has been signed, to sending automated welcome email to the new employee, creating its users in the systems. So all this in an automated way, so HR can focus on some high-level tasks that they have. As well, we can use a Power Automate, for example, to track our leads automatically. So we can capture those leads, track the progress, so the sales team can spend more time in nurturing those leads and contacting our potential customers instead of capturing and entering this data into our CRM system, for example. Approvals, something that every organization is having, from contracts to sales quotations to approval of the expenses, invoices, all sorts of approvals. And that's exactly one of the scenarios that we are going to show today. So today we are going to show a scenario of a business document processing. So it's a simple scenario, but we are going to see how that can be easily automated using this platform with minimum effort, which means we are going to use this low-code concept, right? So we are going to show a client which is receiving invoices via emails from all different vendors. So I want you to focus here on the actual receiving of the document. It doesn't have to be invoices. It can be sales orders, it can be other quotations, can be EDI, can be anything. So important is how we automate this one. So the client are receiving invoices via shared email address. And usually vendors are sending these invoices via PDFs. The requirement is that these invoices, these documents, should be taken from the shared email address and stored on a shared folder. This can be either OneDrive or SharePoint or Dropbox or any other shared folder location that your organization is using, right? So then we want to extract the information from that invoice. We want to capture the data, we want to capture the invoice lines, the values, the quantities, and we want to automatically create the invoice in our existing ERP or CRM system without manually someone entering it. And after that, we want to notify our invoice processing team that invoice is created in the system and ready for review, so they can submit that invoice for approval. And then we want to use the approval process and send notification to the user on their mobile device to approve this particular invoice. So that's in a nutshell the requirement. So if we want to implement this requirement without using this kind of low-code productivity platform, we need to hire probably multiple developers. The whole development will need to happen natively inside the actual ERP or CRM or whatever system that we are using some of the high-level programming languages. And because of that, we need to have a downtime of our production systems when we want to deploy this and start using it. This is going to be really slow and expensive experience because it takes time such thing to be developed, and we will probably end up buying some additional third-party products which will help us for some of these steps, for example, extracting the data from the invoices. In order to do that, we are going to use the power of the Power Automate and create implement this requirement. So what we are going to see today is we have multiple vendor providers which are sending emails with the invoices into a shared mailbox. Then from that mailbox, Power Automate will capture the emails, which automatically capture the invoices, the emails which are containing these invoice attachments. It's going to store it into OneDrive. Then it's going to trigger AI Builder form processing model and extract all the necessary information from that invoice and take that information and automatically create inside our Dynamics the actual invoice and then send a notification to our invoice processing team. After that, the invoice processing team will submit the actual invoice for approval within the ERP. Then Power Automate, using the already existing connectors, is going to capture that business event which is happening in the in our ERP, which is the workflow which started, and create a modern approval and send that notification into the user's teams, which can be running on your mobile, so the user will be able to approve it immediately or their mobile device. So let's see how that looks like. I'm going to switch now to the systems and show you. Before that, I want to quickly show you. So this is our ERP system. If we don't have this automation, what is happening is usually the users are coming into their vendor invoice entry a workspace. They are creating new invoice from here, and then they need to create a new invoice journal, select all this data manually, and then start entering one by one the invoice lines. So this is the example of a task which is time consuming, which is boring, and which can be very easily automated. So let's see how we do that. I'm going to now, from this external email address, send email which is having an invoice as attachment to my shared mailbox. In this case, I'm going to use my own address, but in real life scenario, this will be probably a shared mailbox address for the organization. So I'm going to say invoice demo, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to attach the actual invoice. So let me show you how that invoice looks like once I send the email. So I'm going to send the email, and this is how the invoice looks like. So it's from Adatum Corporation, it's sent to us, it's about a procurement of some coffee machine. These are the lines, simple invoice. So I'm sending that to my email address. So now I expect the flow to kick in and inform our invoice processing team that this invoice is already been processed. So I expect a notification to receive the notification here. I already received the invoice. Now Power Automate will kick in, get this invoice, take the attachment, and store it into the shared location. So as you see, I already got a notification in my Teams that new invoice is being created from this corporation, coming from this vendor. This is the reference of my invoice journal, and this is the amount. So I already informed my invoice processing team that I have a new invoice. So let's see how how that looks like in the system. So if I come back here into my invoice journal, and if I refresh this one, I will see that this is the invoice that just got created. And if I see the details of this invoice, I will see that I have already exactly the coffee maker, the installation fee, the charges, all being captured from the invoice and created as a separate invoice line. So it's up to you how your business process works. Maybe you want to see only one line with the total value, but I'm just showing you an example how automatically this is being created and extracted from the invoice. And in the same time, as I mentioned, we want to store this invoice on this shared OneDrive location. So you see this is created a minute ago. This was the invoice that I sent from the Anatom Corporation. So it was created automatically into our shared location. So this can be shared SharePoint as well. So let's quickly see what happened behind the scenes. This is the actual flow that ran, and this is the one 2 minutes ago. So what happened is when we have a trigger, the ones that I mentioned, when email was received, so when Flow is constantly monitoring our shared mailbox, and it's capturing whenever email is being received, and it's checking if that's a PDF that we want. I'm putting now that I want only PDFs as attachments, but it can be anything. After that, this is where the magic happens. I'm calling the already built-in AI model. So let me show you the AI model. So this is the model that I already built in, which is for invoice form processing. So this is the model. So how do you build? Just matter of clicks. You upload few of the examples that you have of the invoices, and then you select on the actual invoice by clicking what exactly information, what exact fields do you want to capture? Like, for example, the invoice, the date, due date, the balance, and the lines. So it's just a matter of clicking and selecting exactly what you want to extract from your invoice. And this form processing AI model will do that for you. So I'm sending that attachment to this model, and I'm saying, give me and extract all the information that I need. And the AI is doing that for me. And if it's successful, as you can see, I can see this is what is being extracted. This is my invoice number. So if you go back to here, this is the invoice number. This is my the due date, the vendor, for example, which is Anatom Corporation, the invoice date, the total. So all this information is already being extracted from that document. And now I'm calling already available connector for finance and operations. So I'm using finance operations as a ERP, but can be Business Central, can be CRM, can be Salesforce, Sage, whatever. We have connectors practically for every system. And I'm calling that connector, passing all this information that I've extracted, and creating all these individual vendor lines, all these individual lines, like we saw the item coffee maker. So this is the first one. I can see the second one, which is the installation fee. And the third one is other charges. I'm capturing the quantity, all this information which is already available here in my invoice. I'm doing it from analog to digital and creating, again, using that same connector, passing this information and creating that invoices alliance automatically into my ERP system. And after that, I'm calling another connector for OneDrive, and I'm saying create a file. So I'm taking the attachment from the email and I'm just creating it into my shared location. And at the end, I'm using another connector for Microsoft Teams and posting a message into my invoice processing channel, informing our team that have already an invoice being created. So let's go back now to our system, to our ERP, and see that the invoice that we created, we can see now that it's in draft state. So now we can go even further here. We can automate this step as well. We don't have to manually come here and validate and submit this for approval. We can automate that step as well, but for demo purposes, I stop here so I can show you how this was created. Now, as you can see, because this is still in draft, I cannot post the invoice. I can only validate it. And what I can do is I can submit it for approval. So now I'm using the internal workflow into the ERP because that's where my data sits. That's where my user sits. That's where my approvals are sitting, and all the logic, who should approve, the credit limits and stuff like that. So I'm using this internal approval and I'm going to submit it now, and I'm saying, please approve this. And I'm going to submit it. Now, what will happen is internal, you see, now it changes status to submitted. So this is now submitted for approval. What will Power Automate do is capture this business event, again, using the already existing connector, and capture all the necessary information from the ERP and create a modern approval and send it to again to Teams, to the person who needs to approve. In this case will be me, but it can be to anyone which you define here in your criteria. So when I say, you see, I already get a notification, you have a pending invoice approval. So as you all know, how the existing approvals usually look like for some of the systems is we usually get this kind of email where we have some information, and then we usually need to click a button which redirects us to log into the actual ERP system to do and log in there. So it is, we cannot approve within the email, or usually we need to log in somewhere. So this is the old way. What we meant by saying we want a modern way of approval, I want this on my device in my Teams. So how that looks like is like this. Flow send me immediately adaptive card with all the information which was extracted from the ERP about which is the invoice journal, about the vendor, about the invoice number, the total value, the date, and I can immediately here approve or reject or request for a change. So I can action it directly. This is Teams can be running on your mobile device. It doesn't have to be on your laptop. So I can immediately action it here. So before approving it, let me show you what's happening behind the scene. The second flow that we created for the actual approval. So if I refresh this one over here, we can see that this is still running. And what happened is, using that connector for the Dynamics 365 Finance Operations, we are able to capture that business event of the workflow, and then we're going to just validate that workflow item is correct and that we can approve. And then if it's valid, I'm going to just quickly check for the user. And then, as you can see here, I'm getting all the information from the ERP. So Flow is getting it from the ERP, all the necessary information that it's needed. So I'm not duplicating my data. My data always sits in my ERP. So I'm getting all that information, and I'm just creating a workflow, just using already available action for creating that workflow, starting and waiting for one of the responses, passing that information, and I am using the second action, which is posting that adaptive card which Flow created, that interactive card that Flow created, and I'm passing it to the actual user, which in this case is me, for approval. And what's happening after that is, if you see, this is still running. So Flow, Power Automate, we wait until user actions that. So you can put time limits, how long it should wait, and you can put reminders and things like that. So this is now waiting for me to approve. So if I go back into my Teams and I say approve and put a comment, let's say good, for example, and I'm just submitting now. Now, what will happen is, see, this is already been submitted. As you can see, this is happening immediately. Flow waited for the approval happened, and it called again a connector to the ERP to notify the ERP that this this workflow, this approval is already been actioned. So if we go now back into my ERP system, and if I refresh here, I will see that this now is being approved. So now I can post this as an invoice, and this is the end of the process. But we can go even further. Now we can automate the posting. We can trigger, let's say, create the payment journal. We can send the payment to the bank, get from the bank the acknowledgement, create payment journals, things like that. So it's just a matter of what we want to automate, but pretty much all these manual tasks can be easily automated using the power of Power Automate. So that's pretty much the demo, what I wanted to show you. So let's go back to the slides and just summarize what we just saw. So what we saw is how easy it is using the already available 300 plus connectors to automate and scale. To scale and automate some of the business processes that we are using. We saw how easy it is to integrate with already existing Microsoft ecosystem. Also, we didn't saw, but we can use this automation platform to automate not only our cloud-based applications like the Dynamics, which are applications which are running in the cloud. We can use it for our on-prem systems as well, because we have available connectors for on-prem systems as well. So we can automate some of the tasks with our legacy systems. And we see how this using this simple automation and low-code platform, we can accelerate productivity. So we can focus, instead of this pouring, entering, and collecting data tasks, we can our team can focus on something which is more valuable to the business. All right. So, and we see how can we achieve efficiency, as we said, and of course, this is, since all this extraction of the data or whatever is done by the AI and the kind of machines, fewer errors are happening for all if we do this through manual entries. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show you today.